In 2009, we made history with the election of President Barack Obama. He called us to service as there remains much work to do to end unemployment, poverty, and crime in our communities. There's so many books on how we can accomplish this. But this year, everyone's raving about this summer's hottest new book, The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America by Chicago's own Emmanuel Barbee. A graduate of Northeastern Illinois University, Barbee addresses key ways we back our families and communities. But unlike so many other books on this topic, Barbee captivates his reader, presenting solutions through a riveting life story. It's entertaining, it's different, it's exciting. The perfect book club selection. Don't be left out. Get your copy of The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America. Order today at Amazon.com.
Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos online talk show. My name is Emmanuel Barbee, and I am your host. This evening, my special guest is Ms Bradley Biggs Pomeroy. Okay, so here she is. Okay, so tell my audience who you are, please.
Hi there, I am Bradley Biggs Pomeroy, and I am a small business owner. I have some passions that I wanted to pursue, so I quit all my jobs. I had several jobs. I quit all my jobs, and I settled down and I focused. Well, let's talk about one of my passions. One of my passions is I have a blog, and it's geared toward women that want to approach their pregnancy and their subsequent birth as a more natural type, in a more natural type way. And I love home birth, so I have home birthing stories and whatnot on my blog. And the reason why I started the blog was because obviously I love pregnant women, and I'm very passionate about these things. And I came off the birth of my daughter. She just turned 1 last month. I mean, it's June 2nd. So she just turned 1 last month, and my birthing experience with her was amazing. I gave birth to her in my bedroom, very teeny bedroom in my very small 2-bedroom apartment that I shared with my sister and her partner. And it was peaceful and it was calm. My active labor phase was only 45 minutes. And I just breathed and I relaxed and sighed. And she just came out of me. And I just remember feeling so empowered by that experience. I wanted to find a way to share that, to bottle that up or box it up and somehow give it to somebody else so they could open the box and receive this peaceful blessing that I had gone through. So I started my blog. I started writing about home birth and writing about birthing techniques and whatnot and things like that. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is nutrition, mindfulness, meditation. So I became a coach, and I called myself I called myself a coach that would help women consciously influence their birthing experience through nutrition, meditation, mindful movement, and support or community. And one of the things that I noticed with that is that, because what I did was I basically modeled it after what I did. And I had done a lot of research. My goodness, the amount of times that I've done my research, so crazy. But what I had done is I did a lot of research, and I didn't have anybody to test it on, so I tested it on myself. And I changed my diet up. I started eating a lot of high water fruits and eating a lot of dates. Gave myself so much vitamin C because there's a link between vitamin C and amniotic sac. It strengthens the amniotic sac, which is the sac that the baby lies in. And when the amniotic sac is strong, the labor is more mild labor. It's less painful, or there's less sensations of pain. So I really wanted to do that because, of course, there's this big fear base around labor and delivery. So I definitely wanted to lessen my impact there. And I did a lot of mindful training my mind. Instead of thinking about contractions, I started thinking about waves and pressure waves, and changing how I interpreted the sensations that I was feeling in my body to ultimately result in a very peaceful. I wouldn't even say that I experienced pain during the birth. It was what some would call an orgasmic birth and an ecstatic birth, and I really want to share that with other people, that it's possible for that kind of. It's possible to have an orgasmic and an ecstatic birth, a birth that it's left alone, and your endorphins that your body naturally produces just take over, and you're enveloped in a sea and a cloud of love. And it was so beautiful. And the reason why I'm so big on home birth is because the amount of interventions that are going on in the hospital is drastically rising. Some hospitals report 50% cesarean rate. I think the country is at 30% cesarean rate. And 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, you'd be giving birth at home. Every birth was a home birth. So what is it that we're doing now that is influencing, these awful birth outcomes? Not necessarily awful birth outcomes, but it seems that our mothers and our babies are experiencing a high level of trauma through their birth experience. And at the end of it, a big whirlwind takes you over, and you're just kind of slammed back in your chair, and you're just like, whoa, and you're handed a baby, and you're told to be grateful that the baby is here. And, albeit for your experience, it's like, well, wait a minute. There were things that happened here, that occurred here, things like hospital rape and malpractice, these things are happening in the hospital setting. And a lot of times, one of the biggest statistics that I had observed, which is another reason why I wanted to come on and do this show, was that Black women are 3 times as more likely to die in childbirth than white women. And why is the statistic so crazy, so large? I mean, a normal, healthy mother with a normal, healthy pregnancy and a normal, healthy baby is better for her to birth outside of the hospital than it is to birth inside the hospital. It is safer for her to do so. Because in the hospital... Oh, go ahead.
Just a moment, please. I want to make sure that you can give my listeners the link to your blog, so that way they can find it as well, okay?
Okay, yeah. The link to my blog is called Me by BP. So MEBYBP.com. MEBYBP.com. And you can read all about home birth stories, things to do in labor to help lessen your sensation of pain. There's also there's something called a lotus birth, which is amazing and beautiful. If you've ever heard of a lotus birth, it is where you keep the placenta attached to the baby until it separates naturally, until whenever the baby and the placenta decide that it's their turn to separate, they just separate. And you preserve the placenta with herbs and spices, and it's a really gentle way to bring the baby in, because if you observe, a lot of times during the cutting of the cord, which is something that they do in the hospital, when you observe the cutting of the cord, a lot of times the babies, they grimace and they start to cry, because we don't understand. Just because modern science doesn't understand the connection of the placenta and the baby doesn't mean that they don't have one. So when we observe the grimacing of the babies, it's important to take a step back and say, oh, we should probably leave these two together until they separate on their own. And but my blog has a a lot of really cool information on it. And I love the home birth stories. They're really, really great. And some of them end up in a hospital transfer because, of course, emergencies happen. However, the amount, there's more babies that are born that are okay in the home birth setting than there are not okay. And again, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, you'd be at home anyway, and it's okay. As women, it's important for us to stand up and take our power back and realize that our bodies know how to birth these babies. And it's important. But one of the other things that I wanted to discuss now as well, I have obviously been working with birthing moms, consciously influencing their birth so that they have peaceful births, so they bring in peaceful babies in a peaceful way. But I've also undergone a huge transformation within myself, and a lot of these moms had suggested that I branch off and do something else. And so I have started being a self-love coach as well, guiding people back to themselves, introducing people to themselves, introducing them to loving themselves. It's a really beautiful process, self-love, because I had, at one point, I was drinking. I had been drinking for 10 years, 10 to 12 years. Yeah, I drank every morning, all day, every single day. And I was very depressed, and I was very into people-pleasing and living a very destructive lifestyle. My first marriage, I don't want to say that it failed, but I am a divorced woman. I learned my lessons, obviously, from that experience, and I harbor no hard feelings toward him at all. We have a beautiful son out of the experience. But I also birthed without modern pain medicine, but I did that in a hospital, and that's how I know that being outside of the hospital is definitely so much greater than being in the hospital. But anyway, I was living such a destructive lifestyle. I was chasing men. I was giving so much of myself and just basically hemorrhaging all of my vital life force. And then now, today, I find I'm almost celebrating 2 years of sobriety.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's insane for me to think about, because I remember when people would be like, oh, I'm sober, I would say, I'm sorry, who says that? But so I'm celebrating almost 2 years of sobriety. I'm now clean. My drug now, I say, is my yoga. I practice yoga twice a day religiously. If there was ever anything I did religiously, it's yoga practice. It helps me clear my mind. I meditate on a regular basis. I've undergone such a drastic transformation. So I wanted, again, to share. I just want to take my big old heart and just give it to other people. So I created a Date Yourself Challenge, which is going on Facebook. We launch on Monday, June 4th. I'm super excited about it. And the Date Yourself Challenge is just an introductory way to kind of see how I coach, but at the same time, it's a way to start the conversation talking between you and yourself. Because, in our fast-paced lifestyle, we kind of forget, hey, I'm also a person too. In my office too, I wish I could take a picture and show you. I have a big, huge mirror sitting in front of my desk. So right now I'm staring at a reflection of myself as I am speaking to you now. Because it's that important. I feel it is that important to look at yourself, to love yourself, to converse with yourself. But yeah, so my Date Yourself Challenge, I have it set up to where there's an inner date where you talk to yourself through the mirror, and there's an outer date where you go out into the world and you interact with the world in some way. And then there's also a journaling aspect of it as well, to kind of sort through the inner thoughts. And it is community-based, so once you're done with your date, you go to the group and you post on it, and then people cheer you on, and it's a really great time, and it's a great way to support each other through the self-love journey, because it is challenging to look at yourself and to say, I love you, and I really mean it. and to like really, really mean it. I mean, when most of the time we look at ourselves, or when we talk to ourselves, we belittle and we talk down and we berate. We talk horribly to ourselves. And yet, when we look in that mirror, I just look at somebody that's going to be there for the rest of my life. So the language and the conversations that I have with myself need to be some of the most uplifting and love-filled conversations of my life. In this realization.
Just a moment. I want to say a couple of things about what you're saying. It's very positive and upbeating.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever considered writing your own story as well and getting it published?
I have. I'm writing a book, actually. I'm writing a book for pregnant women.
And what's the name of that book, if you don't mind? And tell people where they can find it.
Oh, I'm still writing it. It's still very much in the writing phase, but I am writing a book.
Do you know who your publisher is going to be?
I do not. I do not know who my publisher is going to be. I might just self-publish it.
That's what I did with mine. And so anyway, my suggestion to you is if you do your own research, but if you consider self-publishing, I would go with Create Space. Because Create Space is affiliated with Amazon. So, that's a good marketing tool with them because they're out there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's very true. They are out there. And I have a very dynamic story because, of course, to have reached where I am today and have gone through 10 to 12 years of heavy drinking, daily drinking, what happened before that, So I definitely would love to share my story and to share some of my positivity and to share some of my experiences so that others can learn and know that no matter where you came from, no matter what happened, you can always rise above because I am the creator of my story.
Great.
And I am the one that writes this. So it's not anybody outside of me that is telling me that I can't do it. The only person that's telling me that is me, that I can't do it. And so it's up to me as a person to drive the car. Fear is always going to be in the backseat. Fear is a backseat driver. But I don't have to listen to fear, and I don't have to listen to all of the limiting beliefs that I tell myself, which is one of the dates on my Date Yourself challenge. It's up to me to make the decision to continue forward anyway.
Okay, but this is what I want to suggest to you as well. Once we finish this podcast, under the comment section, once I upload it to Mixcloud, just make sure that you put those links under the comment section if you don't mind, okay? So that way it'll be easier. It'll be easier for my listeners to connect with you.
I will definitely do that. I do have a YouTube channel as well.
Great. Yeah, put that under the comment section as well.
I will do that. I will make sure everybody gets all of the links because I speak a lot. I have a lot of words. Since I stopped drinking, I have realized that I have the most words to say and to express. So I do a daily live video on my Facebook account, Monday through Friday. I take Saturdays and Sundays off for me. And I upload those live videos to my YouTube channel. So I will definitely make sure all that happens. I will put all the links below, as we say nowadays.
And also, once I get my organization up and running here in the city of Chicago, I would, invite you to come and speak at our live events, That way you can meet people. Yeah, that way you and other guest speakers can actually meet our members in face. You can interact in person rather than just, behind a computer. That way it'll be interactive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would love to meet people and to interface like live like in person. Obviously, I do live videos, but in person, because I think it's important. Because a lot of times we hide behind. It's not. I don't want to say we hide, but it's easy to put on airs when you're sitting behind a computer. But then when you're looking somebody in the face, it's like, oh wow, this person is real. I'm a real person. I really wake up in the morning. I really use the toilet. Like I'm a real person. I go to the grocery store just like everybody else. So like I would love to meet people that listen and that are inspired by the story. But yeah, one of my favorite phrases is fill up your cup first to allow others to drink from the overflow.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah. It was like, because a lot of times as like a mother, as a woman, we are told we have to keep sacrificing and sacrificing. Oh, I'll only get somewhere if I just give and give and give and give and give. But if I'm giving from an empty cup, what am I really giving? If I'm tired from working 3 jobs, I'm going to snap at my kids. That my children deserve my patience, my love. I am new. They are new here. It is up to me to guide them. And if I'm running ragged, then I'm not being a good guide. So it's important for me to fill up my cup, to consciously take time out for me, to carve that out, and to say, all right, to put up boundaries. I had no boundaries at one point. Everybody just walked all over me. And now I will say I'm going into my office. I have a home office. I'm going into my office. I'm not here for the next hour. And I'll do yoga, and I will fill up my cup. I will rest. And also another thing that's important too is delegating. It's okay for other people to have input in the way that we live. It's okay to say, hey, I need help. Will you help me, please? Because that's part of self-love, is understanding that sometimes you need help. And sometimes you get tired, and that's okay. So I feel like a lot of times we're told that we need to be strong, and we can't take no crap from anybody and whatnot. But it's like, I'm a soft, gentle, sensitive person, and being sensitive is a superpower, because it doesn't matter if you say God, the Lord, the universe, source energy, whatever you say, that force speaks subtly. And if you're so strong and hard and I can handle anything, you won't hear those voices. You won't be able to act when spirit tells you to move. So taking some time out and getting quiet, and I minimized a lot of things in my life. I got rid of my cell phone. I got rid of other things just so I got rid of the distraction so that I could focus solely on myself.
I have a question I'd like to ask you. Now, because I used to be I'm a former substance abuse counselor. I didn't work in the fields that long. I would say about 1.5 years, because I got kind of burned out. It was kind of rough for me and stuff. But anyway, I just wanted to ask you, did you use I guess like the AA meetings to help you become sober and strong?
I would say I never went to an AA meeting.
Wow.
I never went to an AA meeting. I didn't do anything like that. How did I get sober? I did get pregnant. I got pregnant, and after a while, but I had been begging myself to stop drinking for years beforehand. It's just I got pregnant, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to pick up any more alcohol.
I was just asking. Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, I was just asking because I wanted to know what was your support system,
My support system for quitting, my partner and myself and my sister, I just realized I was in a relationship. Okay, I turned 29. When I turned 29, I was in the shower in Chicago, which is interesting because you're in Chicago. I was in the shower. I took a trip to Chicago with my family, and I told myself, I choose love, and I choose me. And every single decision I made after that is love toward myself and supporting of myself. And over time, I had, like, 6 days later, I met my partner, and he's a really great person. And I wanted to be in a relationship, a meaningful, you know, healthy relationship. And I realized that the way I was acting, I was being petty and little and mean and rude. And I was doing it, and I knew that drinking was not helping at all. So I made the conscious decision to get better. Like, I had to get better because I loved him so much, and I loved and I valued our relationship, and the way that I was going about it was harmful and destructive. So I don't know, I just got better over time.
That's a beautiful testimony, big time.
Yeah. Because I had gone out and I'd you know, been loose and been wild and been crazy, and I used to buy things all the time for what, and I used to dance. I was a dancer in an exotic club for years. I was a dancer, and just abusing drugs and abusing alcohol and abusing my body. I have to say this though, I never slept with anybody, like, I never did turn tricks or anything, not judging anybody that does. But I did definitely feel like I was giving of myself. I was giving a piece of my energy and just sharing like a personal part of myself with a lot of people. I'm a highly energetic being, and I realized that my subtle energy was draining. And I had sought outside of myself for completion, and I knew that I wasn't going to find it out there in the world. I had to find it within me. And I got brave. When I would feel my demons come up, I would face them head on. So in my relationship, instead of getting petty and being like, oh, I can't and nitpicking, I get calm, I get quiet, and I will type out, like, write it out, and come to him in a calm fashion. I say, hey, can we talk later? He says, yes, of course. Hey, you wanted to talk? And I will lay it all out, and I get vulnerable. And I tell him, I speak from my heart, and I say this, I feel this way. I feel, I don't know, I feel insignificant, or I feel scared, or I'll say I need more love. I need this from you. And I tell him honestly, and it puts me in a very vulnerable position, and yet he responds, like, because he loves me too, so he takes care of me, and we take care of each other, our emotional beings and whatnot. And we're not perfect, but we put forth effort there. And I believe that it's the effort that makes the difference, because I know that he also wants to be in a healthy relationship, so he works on himself, even when he doesn't even want to. But we both do it together, and it's not like I'm trying to make him happy, or he tries to make me happy. I seek my own happiness. He seeks his own happiness. So that when we come to the relationship, we are two happy people. And instead, I'm not seeking for him to complete me, because I am complete within myself.
Oh, wow.
He is complete within himself. Yeah.
Wow. I want to ask you I want to ask you a couple more things before, because our time is almost up.
Okay.
I want to go back to, that alternative way to have a child or to give birth.
Mm-hmm.
What's that called again? The terminology you use?
The home birth or orgasmic birth?
Okay. I would just stick with home birth. Now, I heard of some people actually have their child like in what you call that, like underwater.
Yes, it was a water birth. That was what I did with my daughter.
Oh, okay.
Because what happens is we are energetic. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, and then I just want to say that, so most likely you had something called a midwife that was there, correct?
Correct. I had a midwife with my daughter, but next time I give birth, it'll be a free birth with no people, no medical professionals present.
Wow, I'm saying a lot of people are starting to do that. So I'm just saying, that sounds very interesting. But how come people want to have the town, underwater though?
But we are energetic beings, and water, when we are completely hydrated, and we are in water while we give birth, it takes the sensation of pain from, like, if it was a 10, it will take it to a 3. And it's like the energy just, the sensations just kind of fade out into the water. And I didn't suffer any tearing, because a lot of times your perineum, will tear when you give birth, and it didn't, because you're already hydrated and whatnot. And that also helps too by eating a lot of fruit during pregnancy, so that when you come to birth, you're ready and able to do it. And the child is in water inside of you, so it's a peaceful